Hello, and welcome to this voter services event from the League of Women Voters, Edwardsville area, with the endorsement of our partner organization, the Edwardsville chapter of the NAACP. President Walt Williams is going to just give you a quick introduction here.
Good evening, Ms. Thompson, and thank you for allowing the Edwardsville NAACP to participate in this magnificent event. We have been partners with yours for the last several years that I can remember, and it is a very informative forum that allows citizens to become informed, to become engaged, and become active. So as the NAACP, we highly encourage our members in the public to ask questions, put the voices in the room, and become active. So we thank you for hosting this event, and we look forward to future events as well. Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
We can't have direct questions from the public today, but we certainly have this live stream on our Facebook, and we will be gathering comments there. The League of Women Voters, which is recently celebrating its 100th anniversary, is a national organization that is devoted to educating voters and encouraging voting. The NAACP, likewise, with a mandate to advance and promote the achievement of their rights of people of color, has a long history of promotion of informed voting. So that's why we're partners. Democracy requires an informed and involved electorate. The League of Women Voters is affiliated with no political candidate or party as an organization, although it does have positions on some matters such as education, community welfare, and the environment. Our members reflect a variety of personal political opinions. We are mandated and we organize to provide fair and informative voter services events. Tonight's event includes candidates from the Edwardsville Community Unit 7 board members, the school board members, trustee candidates from Lewis and Clark, and a write-in candidate from the regional board of education. All candidates for each race have been invited to this event. Tonight's event is being live streamed on our Facebook page, which is League of Women Voters, Edwardsville area, and will be available for later watching, posted on our website, which is also League of Women Voters of Edwardsville area. It'll also be broadcast on local cable TV channel 993. And we ask that no other recording take place, as the FCC and the league rules require that the event not be edited, but be broadcast only in its entirety, which it will be on the cable station. And if they follow what they have traditionally done, they'll probably play the event twice a day up until the election. Since we can ask only relatively few questions tonight, other sources of information regarding the position of candidates can be found on the Illinois Voter Guide put out by the League, which includes candidate questions and answers where the candidates have supplied answers, and which is posted on our website, League of Women Voters Edwardsville area, and through illinoisvoterguide.org. Also, our Edwardsville.com, Edwardsville Candidates and Positions, that's OUR Edwardsville. Our Edwardsville.com, Edwardsville Candidates and Positions, contains the positions of Edwardsville candidates, especially regarding the Ninian Edwards statue and racial equity issues. So that's another source of information. The Edwardsville Intelligencer also plans to print candidate information, and there are plenty of questions that are coming up. We only had to select a few. So I ask voters to keep themselves informed in other ways as well. Candidates. I'll tell you each for today's event, you'll generally be given 3 minutes to introduce yourselves and 2 minutes for each question that I'll be asking to respond. When 1 minute remains in your introduction or question responses, you'll hear a tone. The tone? This is Is that audible? And when you're finished, your time is up, you'll hear another tone. So and I will interrupt after a certain period of time, trying to be as polite as possible. So the 3 minutes that you'll be given for each candidate will include your introductory remarks, and then 2 minutes will be given for each question that you respond to. The questions have been made available to you, so you each know which questions you'll have to answer. When we do these events live, we solicit questions from the audience, and that's really fun. But in this setting, it's a little bit challenging. So what we do is prepare questions and give you an opportunity to prepare your answer. So I'm going to begin and ask for the first candidate on the list. I'm going to begin with the school board members. And I'm going to ask Jennifer Brumback to begin if you're ready, Jennifer.
Yes, ma'am.
So for 3 minutes, we would ask you to introduce yourself to the voters, including your top priorities for this position and how you plan to make that work, and the most important qualifications for the position and how you possess them.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I'd like to begin by thanking the League of Women Voters for hosting this evening's event. I appreciate this opportunity to reach out and speak about why I want to serve on the Edwardsville School Board. My name is Jennifer Brumback. I'm a wife to a wonderfully supportive Air Force retiree and a proud mother of 2 EHS graduates. Brian is a senior at Columbia College, Chicago, and Maggie is a junior at Quincy University. We are members of First Presbyterian Church, and I serve as the Chief Academic Officer for East St. Louis Schools. I have a BA in Mathematics and a Master of Education in Administration from the University of Oklahoma. For 20 years, I taught in public and private secondary schools in the U.S. and abroad. My students have been from many walks of life and cultural backgrounds, and my favorite part of being an educator has been watching students grow into adults and use their gifts to give back to their community. Since moving to Edwardsville, I've volunteered as a band booster treasurer, Sunday school teacher, a math tutor, and after a year on the Citizens Advisory Council, I ran for the school board in 2019. My priorities from that campaign haven't changed. The focus on technology, equity, and CTE programming remain, but they're now seasoned by a context of what we hope is a post-COVID world. Prior to the pandemic, the district had a technology plan to support 21st century learning. Because of the need for a faster implementation, sound fiscal management of incoming and existing funds allowed for much of the plan to be completed ahead of time. I will continue asking for plans that include the use of federal and state funds while seeking out local partnerships to expand our technology programs. Our students must have access to technology and the wealth of learning opportunities that come from online educational resources. Prior to the pandemic, the board supported the creation of the Equity Task Force to address a long overdue need in Edwardsville schools. The need still exists. This past Monday, the board announced our selection of the next superintendent. One key element that stood out from Dr. Shelton's work was rooted in equity. I will look to support his efforts and challenge decisions when initiatives are put in place that fail to provide opportunity for all students. Barriers must be broken down so that trained, trauma-informed teachers can see and address students' physical, academic, and social and emotional needs. Upon joining the board, the district partnered with a local laborers union and sent a small group of students to work on a 2-year apprenticeship program. Discussions about rejoining the Collinsville Area Vocational Center soon followed. I will support and encourage innovative CTE programming in our secondary schools to include middle school. We must continue to cultivate relationships with area partners and strategically plan for a future where we house our own CTE facilities, knowing it will take a financial commitment through grants and other funding sources. While these 3 priorities have remained the same, my understanding of how to make them a reality has changed. Being on the school board for the past 2 years has allowed me to give back to our community using my collective experiences, but I have also learned a great deal in that time. When you consider who should be a school board member, it should be someone who knows how to collaboratively weigh and balance what is heard from multiple voices and understands that decision-making is based on the consensus of the variety of people who bring different perspectives and skill sets unique to the other members. Ultimately, they must understand that decisions made in the best interest of students lead to a long-term investment in the next generation of our community. Tonight, I humbly ask you to cast your vote and re-elect Jennifer Brumback for Edwardsville School Board.
There are still several questions we'll be asking. You'll have a chance to talk more about how you plan to put things into effect. The first question is, what will you support and work at to assist students who have emotional and learning needs or technological challenges, especially following COVID? You already said something about that.
Right. So many of our students have and are still facing anxieties about their and their family's safety. Some students are dealing with learning loss and fears about reintegration with their peers into the schools, while others can't wait to get back in the classroom. We know that some students find school as their safe place. So we need to be very, very sensitive to that. No one is walking away from COVID and the response to it unscathed. It will be very important to have staff on hand who are trained to identify and address students' SEL needs. Teachers will need a formal check and connect system for monitoring student responses to evolving stressors. Likewise, administrators and educators need to have a way to monitor the needs of their peers. Our response to students must be enhanced to include solutions to the glaring gaps highlighted by COVID that became obvious when looking at access to resources such as computers, internet, childcare, access to food, counseling, and specialized services. Many districts are asking themselves if federal CARES and ESSER funds should be spent on staffing needs for smaller class sizes, or should they be spent on meeting SEL needs? We must consider the technology needs of our middle and elementary students and programs that support academic and SEL interventions. But ultimately, our priorities must be on the equitable access to physical and social emotional safety of our students, and then to the resources needed to meet their learning gaps.
Thank you. That's 2 minutes. And the second question is, how are diversity, equity, and inclusion part of your vision for our school?
So DEI is at the heart of everything I think about with education. Dr. Shelton shared with the board his DEI journey. My personal journey in this work goes back to my undergraduate education studies and has been built upon and refined by every personal and professional experience and conversation I've had since that time. I am well aware that there is more to learn and share. At the root of the vision I have for Edwardsville schools is that all students experience safety, acceptance, understanding, empathy, and fulfillment. Students should see themselves in their learning and in the staff they interact with every day. They also need to be with people who are different than them and should learn about perspectives other than their own. Students should be with teachers that encourage students to explore with their peers who embrace differences and different experiences. I know that this is a difficult ask of some adults and students. Many don't have the capacity to envision a world that they've never really deeply interacted with firsthand. So the world view is defined by their exposure, and it shows in conversations, interactions, and intentions. For this reason, I support the investment in training a district level administrator in diversity, equity, and inclusion to ensure that all environments and resources are available to students without bias. We must build a culture and infrastructure that supports the development and growth of DEI in District 7.
Thank you. Thank you. And that was Jennifer Brumback. And the second candidate for the school board, Edwardsville Community Unit 7 School Board, I'm going to ask Tiffany, is it Paschall?
Paschall.
Paschall, I'm sorry.
Paschall. No problem.
Tiffany Paschall.
Thank you, Ms. Tompkins. Sure, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP to have this opportunity to let the voters get to know me a little bit. My name is Tiffany Paschall. I am the wife of an Edwardsville firefighter paramedic and have been for 22 years. I am a mother to 2 students, one who graduated in 2020 and is now at Illinois State, and a Liberty 8th grader. I'm also a 1992 graduate of Edwardsville High School, and I've called Edwardsville home my entire life. I've been volunteering in the Edwardsville School District for 14 years, and I'm also a local realtor with RE/MAX Alliance. And I've appreciated the last 14 years because they have allowed me to build some of my best relationships. And those relationships have come from talking daily with students, teachers, staff, and parents. And those conversations, especially in the last year, have indicated what is important to them. And likewise, why I am seeking a seat on the Board of Education. They want better, more transparent and efficient communication. They're focused on making up the academic and social emotional losses from the past year due to the pandemic. A school board that is open-minded and willing to engage parents and those in the community, new ideas and a willingness to be innovative, an inclusionary district where all students are valued and celebrated, better mental health support for our students, and the ability to do all of these things while not increasing the property tax burden on our citizens. Almost every issue facing our district can be addressed by building relationships within the school and relationships within the community. Building relationships requires trust, honesty, and a willingness to collaborate and compromise. Those are the core values I apply to all aspects of my life, whether my personal or professional relationships, or in the various PTO and booster offices I've held in the past 14 years. Because of those relationships I have built in District 7, our team has been able to raise money needed to replace a dangerous playground and have it installed over the course of one summer vacation. Our team was able to advance our PTO from a budget deficit to having enough funds available to cover the budget and provide all of the computers and technology for a new computer lab for the students. We've implemented new social activities and fundraising opportunities where every student is included. We have provided travel and performance opportunities, and most importantly, we've provided safe spaces and safe experiences for our students to engage with each other and begin their own relationships. We're fortunate to have a good district in Edwardsville, but we need to work together to make it even better. There are significant challenges facing us, and it will require resourcefulness, open-mindedness, and a board willing to embrace new ideas and learn from other districts. I'm not afraid to look to other districts and evaluate what is working for them in an effort to improve ours. Everything we should be approached from the standpoint, is it good for our students? I support all students, and everything I've done in the last 14 years has been for them.
Thank you. There are now 2 questions that I'll ask you. The first is, what will you support or work at to assist students who have emotional and learning needs or technological challenges, especially following COVID?
Okay, I think we need to assume that every student, parent, teacher, and staff member will need some additional support post-COVID. And we need to be empathetic in reconnecting the teachers, the students, and the parents. For social emotional support, that's already been addressed or started to be addressed by getting the kids back in the school. They need additional opportunities to develop in-person relationships again. They need to be provided structure and purpose, and provided more opportunities for engagement at school with extracurricular programs and more social events that are inclusive of every student. Meaningful partnerships need to be made with mental health professionals in the area, including SIU, to support small group extracurriculars. The technology, Edwardsville has been facing a deficit for many, many years, and COVID has just exacerbated that. A technology schedule was put in place with Prop E that has been accelerated, but we need to address the bandwidth deficiencies in the buildings and the Wi-Fi access across the 181 square miles of District 7 to even get caught up to where we should be.
Thank you. The next question is, how are diversity, equity, and inclusion part of your vision for our school?
I envision a school district committed to making diversity, equity, and inclusivity core values that guides all policy changes and all decision making. I envision the school district where there's a commitment to providing a safe environment where staff and students can develop empathy for each other and embrace and celebrate each other's differences. The school district I envision is where every student is valued and every student is celebrated. DEI begins with the decision makers and their willingness to listen to understand and not listen to respond. It begins with the humility to realize that everyone needs to recognize their implicit biases and that we all have room for improvement. A commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion includes more than sitting on committees and crafting policies. It involves getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It involves having the hard conversations and developing concrete solutions at a table where everyone's interests are represented. That's what I would like to see in District 7.
Thank you. And that was Tiffany Paschall. I believe that it is correct that within the school board, we have 2 candidates from which you choose, the voter chooses 1, and we have 6 remaining candidates from which group the voter chooses 3. Is that correct, school board? So far, they have all been of the group that you choose 3. We'll finish that group, our representatives from that group here, and then we'll have the other group. The next candidate I'm going to ask to speak is tdallariva. Teresa, the first request would be for you to introduce yourself to the voters, paying particular attention to what are the top priorities for you as you consider this position and how you plan to meet them, and also what are the most important qualifications for this position and how do you possess them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event and allowing me to speak about Edwardsville District 7 education. I would like to recognize Jennifer Brumback, John McDole, and Leland Olsen. I have a deep respect for the work of these board members. I'm honored to be able to work with them in shaping education for our students and our community. To Tiffany and Kristen, I know we share in our dedication to our community's education. It's our passion for education that places us here. I want to recognize our educators, staff, teachers, administration, and our community that has stood behind them in support. In what has collectively been the roughest year of our lives, you have stayed the course, trying to figure out how to best educate and nurture our children. You have my admiration and gratitude. I want to talk to our students. Your lives have been disrupted, and my present and future work as a board member is to recognize how we need to support you as you find strength through adversity and heal through difficulty while addressing learning loss and really working to come back from that. I think board members work in a collaborative spirit that acknowledges the diversity of our community, but can bring everyone together to achieve high-reaching goals for all students. Part of being a board member is to recognize the strengths and ideas of others and cultivate those talents to create better education. I lived almost all my adult life here raising my 4 daughters. I don't really come from any one place. My dad was in the Air Force, so I'm proud to call Edwardsville home. My oldest daughter, Gina, started kindergarten at Nelson Elementary in '94, and my youngest daughter, Mia, just graduated last year from Edwardsville High School in 2020. I don't want to leave Stephanie or Hannah out. Steph joined 3 other classmates who tied for valedictorian in 2011. And Hannah earned her private pilot's license during her senior year of high school, and she learned to fly. Their foundation in our school system did more than just prepare them for the workforce. It emphasized the importance of being part of our community. As a school board member for the past 6 years, I've worked and recognized that we need to prepare our students for the workforce with AP coursework, CTE, apprenticeships. And as they also, they're also exploring those extracurriculars, clubs, fine and performing arts, sports, and other pathways that allow them to do things like learn to fly. They are able to go and move through those opportunities so that our youth can grow and become and change. And figuratively speaking, they can spread their own wings and fly. I think my time's almost up, but
It is, thank you.
okay,
That's-
all right.
Let's start with those
Thank
tones. Yes, and we have two questions for you to finish what you have to say. The first question would be, what will you support or work at to assist students who have emotional and learning needs or technological challenges, especially following COVID?
Okay. I have been a school board member since 2015, and since 2017, our budget has allowed for the slow process of full upscale updating existing and provision for new technology in our classrooms. At the same time, we've begun curriculum reviews again, and we are providing new materials to students each year to keep pace with the changing world that we live in and their changing lives. We've partnered to reintroduce career technical education, and we have an apprentice program for students as well that we hope to expand. We've supported educators by recognizing a need for better professional development and training. I have chaired the Finance Committee for the past 4 years. As we initially promised, we committed Prop E resources to fund safety and security, curriculum, and technology. Funding is always going to impact our direction and speed of introducing new tech. Outside anticipated sources have helped us. The first funding from the CARES Act this past summer was an additional $530,000, for which we purchased 2-in-1 Dell tops for our teachers. Last summer, we also spent $1.4 million on devices for high school students. We hired tech coaches for training and recognized we need more of that. And we increased funding for platforms like Clever, Schoology, and Zoom. We just finished installing Wi-Fi at all schools and expanding bandwidth on all levels. And that's been done within the last month that we've completed the rest of those projects. I spoke with Dave Courtney on Monday. We can expect an additional $2 million from the second release of federal funds. The third federal installment is yet uncertain. The other good news is that the city of Edwardsville has expired TIF 3 this past week, which provides us with an additional $1 million in revenue. Again, funding is vital to provide for technology. We want to continue the curriculum cycle for our classrooms. We want our classrooms to be safe, and we want our tech to be up to date. At this point, we anticipate providing devices for Lincoln and Liberty students this year and to primary grades as soon as funding permits.
Thank you. Another question, how are diversity, equity, inclusion part of your vision for our school?
So I'm happy to talk about equity inclusion. I joined the Equity Task Force in 2019. At one of the meetings last June, we met via Zoom, and our subcommittee asked for the addition of policy banning the use of the Confederate flag and other hate symbols. As chairman of the policy committee, I was able to bring that to the superintendent and the board. And last August, as a full board, we expanded policy 720 to prohibit the use of the Confederate flag and other hate symbols in our schools. Our superintendent is creating a position at Hadley House for a DEI coordinator, and board members are very supportive of that. I'd like to recognize the commitment our community has to making our relationships stronger and our environment respectful and inclusive. Edwardsville High School was just designated a National Unified Champion Banner School by the Special Olympics. I cannot begin to express my admiration for our students, our teachers, our administrators, and our community in so providing the support for inclusion. I promise to continue this support. I want to share with you the Special Olympics pledge. I pledge to look for the lonely, the isolated, the left out, the challenged, and the bullied. I plan to overcome the fear of difference and replace it with the power of inclusion. I choose to include. To me, that is essential to the foundation for our education. I speak to you now because I know you are with me as we put this practice into the daily life, and we support each other through it. Preparing our students for the workforce is important, but preparing our students for life is essential. As part of the Edwardsville District 7 community, I believe I represent all when I say we are fully committed to providing an equitable education for all of our students, one that is truly built on a foundation of inclusion, recognizing and respecting our diversity and differences, and working together to realize our full potential. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me by phone or email. My website for school board is tdallariva.squarespace.com.
Thank you. And that was Terry Dallariva. We have a fourth candidate among the group of 6 for whom you're to vote for 3, and that is John McDole. John, we would like you to begin by introducing yourself to the voters, especially including the top priorities for this position and how you plan to achieve them, and the most important qualifications that you see for the job and how you possess them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for putting on this event every election season. I know many great members of each organization, so thank you so much. I am John McDole, and in 2019, in April of 2019, I had the honor of being elected to the Edwardsville School Board. I am a lifelong Edwardsville resident, along with my wife, Carla. We have a son, Johnny, who is in 4th grade at Woodland Elementary, and our daughter, Audrey, is in 1st grade at Nelson Elementary. For the last 14 years, I have worked here in Edwardsville at the Bank of Edwardsville, now Busey, the last 2 years of which working on strategic initiatives, special projects, and also working with commercial lending needs of our local businesses. Graduated from Edwardsville High School, obviously, then received a marketing degree from Bradley University and an MBA from SIU Edwardsville. So speaking to why I am running again and what my goals are moving forward. In the beginning of 2019-20 school year, as it's been mentioned before, that brought new focus on improved communication, creating opportunities for career and technical education for students, and enhancing the technology that was woefully behind in the district, all while continuing to reduce the education fund deficit and turn around 10 years of financial hardship. As the first semester progressed, strategic planning initiatives for the district moved forward for the first time, and an equity task force was implemented to address diversity and inclusion issues. All of these activities were gaining significant momentum until the pandemic hit in the March of 2020, which not only unfortunately halted most of these improvements, but the following months very much showed why they were started in the first place. So why am I running? In short, there is unfinished business to be completed, and we need visionaries who will help build on the positive accomplishments over the last 2 years, while also advocating for students and teachers who need our support now more than ever. And as far as, there are so many critical attributes a board member needs in order to add value to their role as in the district. But for the sake of this forum, I've narrowed it down to 2, the first of which being communication, which is the cornerstone of the role. Board members are elected to be the conduit between the stakeholders outside of the district and the stakeholders within the district, and vice versa. A good board member needs to be articulate in the way they communicate amongst these stakeholders. They need to be energetic, engaging, and authentic, and be adept at facilitating conversation, both privately and, very importantly, in public meetings as well. And so I feel that I fit all of those qualities as a board member. And secondly, and I think most importantly, you need to have a passion for the role of being a board member. These last 2 years are a perfect example of how a school district can go through extremely good times, but also go through extremely challenging times. I've had, and other board members as well, have had to have incredibly difficult conversations and have had to make tough decisions. But at the end of the day, and likewise at the end of my term, I have remained steadfast in my passion for enriching the youth of our communities and ensuring the success of our district moving forward. And that's why I'm running again for this role.
Thank you. The first question that I have to ask you is, what will you support or work at to assist students who have emotional and learning needs or technological challenges, especially following COVID?
Thank you, Rachel. And I remember it being top of mind 2 years ago, whenever I ran, that I felt like, we were very much experiencing a mental health crisis in our society and in our communities. And some of that's being facilitated by the underlying inequities that exist. And so I feel that currently, as a result of the pandemic and what we are still going through with the pandemic, it's going to only exacerbate that problem. The very same goes for inequities and access to technology and other resources. Therefore, the very most important thing I can do as a board member is to be an advocate, not only in making sure the district is fully cognizant of these challenges that many students and families are facing, but more importantly, being diligent in addressing them to our fullest capacity. We need to be collaborative, not only amongst ourselves, but we need to look at how other districts and communities are pioneering these types of efforts and implementing positive paths forward for our own district in these very, very challenging aspects.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The next question is, how are diversity, equity, and inclusion part of your vision for our schools?
Thank you. Yes. I think the last year, at least for me, this is my personal view, has really pulled the curtain on the level of intolerance for others that is present in our country and in our communities sometimes. And so the words themselves of diversity, equity, and inclusion are interpreted and used in a myriad of ways. And sometimes it goes down to, depending on how that is used, and those words are used in your household. But for me personally, those words and their meaning come down to the importance of basic human decency and how we treat one another and how we understand those who at first glance are not similar to us. And so moving forward, in order to provide an enriching environment for our students to learn in and grow in and be at a positive light on their future, I am indeed an advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And similar to the aforementioned question, I feel like the solutions to these issues not only lie within the school district, but also beyond, out into the communities within the district. And so in that vein, having a DEI coordinator both at a district level, but also in, I know the city of Edwardsville is implementing such a thing, and having collaboration in which we work together to help achieve an environment where educational and community environments where all stakeholders feel safe and respected is achieved and carries on for generations to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, that was John McDole. Those are the 4 representatives that we have here tonight of the 6 candidates from whom the voters will choose 3 on their ballots for the school board. There were 2 other candidates. One could not be here. One will be joining us on the 15th due to schedule problems. And so you'll have an opportunity if you join us on the 15th. There's another candidate, but those are the 4 candidates we have here from whom you will choose with additional 3. There are 2 other school board candidates, and those are 2 candidates from which group you will choose 1 on your ballot. I'm going to ask them to speak one by one. I'm going to start with Kristen Pfund. I'm going to ask you, Kristen, to introduce yourself to the voters, including your top priorities for this position, and also the most important qualifications you believe for the position, and how you possess them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Kristen Pfund. I have a huge passion for this community. I grew up in this area. My husband, Matt, and I could not envision a better place to raise our family and invest and grow our business and volunteer our time. Watching my 3 kids, Lainey, Jack, and Charlie, grow up in the same school system I attended has been enlightening. I have been constantly amazed by how much more is available to them now and the quality of the school district. Our school district continues to face significant challenges, though. I have no doubt that energy, leadership, and a spirit of collaboration can ignite our community's educational potential and prepare us for prepare our students for a better future. And that is the reason I am running for the District 7 School Board. I believe that I possess a combination of characteristics that make me an asset to the school board: creative thinking, vision, desire to always put the needs of our kids' education first. I am a leader in our community and in our business, in our private business every day. As a school board member, I am prepared to be a support system to our students, teachers, staff, and community. This is a responsibility that is extremely important and requires the ability to make tough decisions. One of the things that I have never taken for granted is that change happens very fast. How we deal with change takes courage, common sense, empathy, and a collaborative thought. I am a person who embraces change and does not settle for doing things the same because that's how we've always done it. If selected to serve the District 7 School Board, my primary focus would be on student achievement. Students learning is the #1 job of a school board. As a member of the board, my duty is to ensure the policies and resources at all schools are put in place and all students to achieve. Allocate resources to the needs. Not all students have the same needs. As a board member, my focus would be to ensure that all the resources at our disposal, such as time, money, and personnel, would be appropriately allocated. Use our data to ensure the return on investment. As part of the school board, I will be mindful and accountable for how we are spending your money. I will communicate measurable results through data and intend to evaluate what services are being provided and at what cost and benefit to our district. I'm also able to make tough decisions and help maintain a positive financial state for our district. I also want to engage our community. Beyond the school board, I am most importantly and proudly a parent. I strive to look for ways to stay involved with what is happening in our schools and in our community. The school district and community need to be in lockstep with each other to be successful as possible. I am an active member in our community. If elected, I will focus on how we can collaborate to maximize this better partnership. I will be your voice for change, success, working together and utilizing our resource. It's time for some change.
Thank you. I have 2 questions to ask you. The first being, what will you support or work at to assist students who have emotional and learning needs or technological challenges, especially following COVID?
Yes. COVID-19 has impacted children at such a critical time in their development. We now need to work on that recovery. Students need to return to an environment that provides them with structure and purpose, and that is school. Teachers will be called upon to utilize their training to be aware of the students' engagement, taking time to notice changes in behavior and taking time to notice behavior and taking time to connect. Also by reintroducing movement, extracurricular activities, giving students K through 12 a much needed boost. More importantly, we need to share the plans with students and parents about how the school district plans to do their education with their educational future. Also, it's apparent that we have a lot of programs that maybe we need to introduce. My husband is a product of the vocational program, and it has afforded him the most amazing opportunity to guide his future success. Our son, Jack, has that same drive and passion as my husband, and a vocational program would have greatly benefited his education. CTE programs can show students success outside the classroom and how they can be successful after high school if they don't choose higher formal education. Post-COVID allows us opportunities to be the leaders of positive change.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And The second question, how are diversity, equity, and inclusion part of your vision for our schools?
Not only does creating greater multicultural awareness and inclusion help students with different backgrounds and needs succeed, but it also encourages acceptance and helps prepare students to thrive in a diverse world. Our district can embrace this and educate beyond the classroom, assembling a diverse committee of community members to create a strategic plan that's to be openly shared. Consider a director of diversity and inclusion at an administrative level. They would be an asset in recruiting teachers, providing encouragement and supporting teachers and students, and also by partnering with our local organizations. We just need to be completely transparent when it comes to diversity and inclusion. This includes, like I said, mentioned earlier, a development of a committee that's made up of diverse members in our school, with our school system and our community. We should be singing this from the rooftops. We should know who the members are, what their goals are, and how we can help. This isn't an issue we can fix overnight, but it is something we can work every day at to make it better.
Thank you. So that was Kristen Pfund, and she is one of the two members. The next one is Leland Olsen, for whom you vote for one. Thank you, Kristen. Leland Olsen, I would like to ask you, please, to introduce yourself, including the top priorities that you have for this position, how you hope to put those into effect, and also the most important qualifications for this position and how you possess them.
Okay, well, first off, thank you very much, Rachel, and the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for allowing me this opportunity to speak to everybody. My name is Dr. Leland Olsen, and I am running for re-election to the Edwardsville District 7 School Board. I am currently the owner of the Olsen Veterinary Clinic in Glen Carbon, which I opened up in 2001. My wife, Colleen, and I moved to the Edwardsville area in 1998, and we have raised our family here. Our daughter, Grace, is a product of Edwardsville High School. She graduated in 2018, and she's currently a senior at Butler University, majoring in environmental studies and a minor in German. Our son, Mitchell, who is currently a junior at EHS, and he's getting a great education, and his needs were different than Grace's. He is a product of the IEP program, which they have done a fantastic job with him. He is currently got his life together and on the path to graduate in 2022. Having been a city member on the board since 2013, I have seen the board evolve into a board that is collaborative and transparent. It was a top-down approach with little discussion on what needed for the district to be successful. We were operating with a budget with a negative deficit and had little, if any, cash reserves. The state had classified us in 2013 as being in the warning category based on our finances. The school being financially cash strapped, we were forced to reduce the workforce, and improvements to technology, curriculum, and other improvements were non-existent. Despite our shortfalls, our students were still performing about 70 points above the state average on the state testing standards. With the passage of Proposition E in 2017, we were able finally to balance the budget and build cash reserves. We were able to improve technology and update the curriculum. We are now solvent and able to provide for the students to be successful. First and foremost, the pandemic of epic proportions, we needed to keep our teachers and our students safe. We needed to be able to provide as good of an education for our students, no matter if they were in remote, hybrid, or in person. Our teachers, administrations, and students needed to adapt for each obstacle met. This included having one-to-one technology in the high school, updating the Wi-Fi, and provide hotspots throughout the district that the students could use, and we needed to do this on a fly. There are practices that we have instituted that we can use in the future in teaching our kids. We have learned from our mistakes and shortcomings. We have started a strategic plan with long-range and short-term goals to assist us in decision-making and making sure that the district is headed in the right direction. If I am reelected, I pledge to continue to build on programs that are successful. We need to continue to provide for our students, no matter what path they may choose, whether it be college bound or in the CTE education pathway. We need to continue to build partnerships with businesses and colleges and universities to make these happen. The sky's the limit. We must continue to meet each and every student's needs and move forward with the ever-changing technology and make sure that we can offer the best practice for the students. We need to continue to hire the best educators to stimulate and teach our students to think critically. Finally, we need to continue to address the diversity, equity, and inclusion issues in our district. We need
Thank
to.
you. I'm going to be asking you a question about that, Mr.
Okay.
Olsen, if I may.
Okay.
The first question I'm going to ask is, what will you support or work at to assist students who have emotional learning needs or technological challenges, especially following COVID?
Okay. The COVID-19 pandemic has provided us an interesting perspective of how effective schools are fulfilling the needs of each individual student. Due to these unprecedented times, we have seen not only the successes, but also the failures of the school districts in meeting the emotional, learning, and technological and needs of the students. Each student has individual and emotional needs. There is no covering formula for doing what is best for our kids to help them learn and grow emotionally. Due to this, each case is specialized and individual. To better the overall emotional intelligence, health, and learning skills of our students, we need to do things like helping them establish positive peer relationships, teach behavior management skills, identifying and dealing with depression, and helping students cope with different feelings. By increasing the emotional intelligence of our students, various benefits accompanying this teaching. This increased emotional intelligence will benefit each student greatly, not only at home or school, but also in the future. The pandemic made it so that the district needed to work fast and hard at updating the technological status of our schools because of how unprepared we were. While I believe that we have bettered the technological status of our schools and students, we need to maintain these upgrades. Technology is always changing and developing. We need to keep this mindset of doing what is best for our students by keeping with the current technology to best serve the children.
Thank you. I have another question that was about what you were speaking about when I cut you off, was that how are diversity, equity, inclusion part of your vision for our schools?
Well, diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important. There is no place of bias in our schools. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are vital aspects for all students in schools. Schools need to work with their learners to help each student feel valued and affirmed. DEI efforts in Edwardsville have improved in recent years, but it is not enough. DEI efforts make it so that each student feels like they have a place in the schools and in our great town. The work of educators needs to promote these values by exploring and honoring differences among students. DEI efforts need to be embedded within our schools' missions. philosophies, and core values. These needs to be communicated to the students by an educated leadership and staff, making sure that students and teachers are engaged, supported, and involved in a strong culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Equally as important, the content that we teach and current pedagogy needs to foster and communicate these values. Doing this would ensure that students are encountering and are involved in a strong culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion, ultimately benefiting each student greatly.
Thank you. Now, that's the end of the part of this. That is the school board candidates. I'd like to reiterate that you heard from Jennifer Brumback, Tiffany Paschall, Terry Dallariva, and John McDole, all of whom, with the two more candidates, are the group of candidates from whom you will choose 3 on your ballot. Then you heard from Kristen Pfund and Leland Olsen. Of that group of 2, you will choose 1 on your ballot. Thank you, school board members. We appreciate your time and informing the voters. I'm going to move on now to the next part of our program. The next part of the program will be for the trustees for Lewis and Clark College. It's a group of 4 from which you will choose 2 candidates to vote for. I'm going to begin by asking candidate Larry Trent to introduce himself to the voters. Yes, and especially including his top priorities for his position and the most important qualifications that he feels are necessary for this job and how he possesses them.
Thank you for this opportunity, the League of Women Voters and the NAACP. I've been an area resident most of my life in the Riverbend area. I graduated from Roxana High School, as did my wife. We were married shortly out of high school, been married 54 years, have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. I spent the bulk of my career with the Illinois State Police, 22 years the first time, in a wide range of job functions. I spent 14 years in investigations, 10 years as a homicide investigator. I took advantage of an early retirement from the state police and moved to Argosy Gaming Company. And at Argosy Gaming Company, I was responsible for, as vice president, I was responsible for a lot of different operations, including regulatory affairs and safety and security and surveillance and risk management. After about 5 years with Argosy Gaming Company, I went to the Riverbend Growth Association, conducting economic development activities and recruiting new businesses to the Riverbend area. And it was at that time that I spent some time with people from Lewis and Clark, with faculty and with the president, and introduced the businesses to them to learn what opportunities the new businesses or retaining businesses could have with Lewis and Clark as far as training opportunities. I eventually became president of the Riverbend Growth Association, and while I was there, I was asked to return to the state police as the director of the Illinois State Police. I did that for 2 terms. I was unanimously confirmed both times by the Illinois Senate. And during my time there, I managed a budget of over 400 million, 3,400 personnel, and the world's 3rd largest crime lab. I think during that time, and then subsequent to that, I spent a couple of years conducting classified intelligence activities for Homeland Security. I think during all that time, I've learned to manage a budget that's over 10 times larger than Lewis and Clark's. I've had a lot of leadership skills, I think, that would lend myself to the board. I want to see the college maintain its elite status, and I think it has an elite status. That's primary. Primary is the quality of education there. That's number 1. Number 2, I'd like to see the N.L. Nelson Center stay open. There's been some discussion about closing that. It's a priority of me to keep it open and provide adequate resources without raising taxes. I think all of that can be done under the current budget as long as we don't take a hatchet to the budget.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I have two questions for you. The first is, what role should the board hold in relation to the administration of Lewis and Clark, especially regarding planning in response to declining enrollment?
I think declining enrollment is something that's being experienced all over the country at community colleges and universities. Nationally, community college enrollment declined by 9.5% last year. And sadly, minority enrollment declined by 30%. Some of this, I think you can attribute to the recession, but normally during a recession, you see more people come back to college for retraining or gaining new skills because they've been laid off. But I think the pandemic has created something unique because people are waiting to go back to work rather than looking for a different job. So I think that's part of it. I think as far as the role of the board in this environment is to first and foremost let a very capable president of the college and a professional educator and someone with a professional staff to more or less lay out the outline for that and allow the board to look at that. I think there needs to be a lot of marketing that needs to be done. I think also there's an upgrade of technology that needs to be done because some students don't have good internet connectivity.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The second question is, would you support funding for environmental initiatives and or diversity inclusion efforts?
Well, I think that's the easiest question tonight. Yes and yes. Students already pay a $2 green fee at the college to help with, it doesn't pay for completely, but it helps with some of the environmental initiatives. But I think more importantly, if we support that effort, it lets the students know that what they think is important, because I believe young people and younger students today have more respect for the environment than people of my generation. And so I think it's important to support that. And as far as the diversity question, the college clearly has to be reflective of the community. And it's one thing to say that, but unless you put someone responsible for that to oversee that and to make sure that happens, it may not. But clearly we have to have both of those.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You've heard from Larry Trent, a candidate for trustee at Lewis and Clark. The next candidate I'm going to ask to introduce himself is Dwight Wirtz. I'd like you to introduce yourself, including your main priorities for this position, how you plan to achieve them, and what you believe are the major qualifications that are needed and how you have them.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you, Legal Women Voters and NAACP, for putting this event on and inviting us. My name is Dwight Wirtz. I'm a graduate of Roxana High School also. I graduated Lewis and Clark College. I'm a current member of the Board of Trustees. I have served 2 terms and trying for my 3rd term. I'm a past chairman and current member of the Lewis and Clark Foundation Board, and I've supported the college through the Foundation Board for many years. I'm vice chairman of the OSF St. Anthony's Community Advisory Board. I'm past chairman and current board member of the Riverbend Growth Association. I'm a board member of the Great Rivers Land Trust. I help establish the foundation at Marquette High School and have funded scholarships there. I established a scholarship at Lewis and Clark College. I've established a Veterans Emergency Fund and a Students Emergency Fund at Lewis and Clark College. And between myself and my company, I've donated $250,000 to the college. I'm president and CEO of Wirtz Welding and Tank Service, a 65-year-old company based in Woodruff, Illinois, with 8 locations around the United States. When I took over my dad, well, I'm a 2nd generation, we had 2 locations. Now we have 8. And we're spread out from Florida to Montana to Colorado to Texas. The company has over 100 employees, and I'm married and have 2 grown children and live in Gosford. As you can tell, I've been very involved in the college for many, many years. I'm very involved in the community, and it's something that is deep in my heart that I want to see this continue to grow. The college has gone through some tough times in this COVID, and we need to increase our technology and accessibility to the people in our district so that they can get the education they need.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. The first being, what role should the board hold in relation to the administration of Lewis and Clark, especially regarding planning in response to declining enrollment?
Well, first of all, I think the board, I think the college president and their administrators, we should invest in them, and they would support them because that's their job. They're professionals. That's what they do every day. We should just support them. The investment we need to make is in technology infrastructure to deliver new methods of learning and to support our facility. COVID's taught us a lot about that. And remember, the enrollment is a very loaded word. We need to also focus on retention, where we are a leader in the state, and we are a leader in the state and for retaining the number of people that start something and finish it. A part of the plan here is to willing to be able to invest in new programs and in current programs that are relevant to support our industries. I'm involved in the welding committee, obviously through my work. I also encouraged them to start a truck driving school several years ago, which we did. I donated a semi-trailer for that class for the truck drivers to pull. And I also donated a semi-trailer for the fire science department. And the truck driving school, in 8 weeks, you can become a truck driver and you come out of there with a job. And that's the kind of things we need. We need to expand our trades like diesel mechanics and automotive, because there's so many people that need these jobs to filled, but we don't have the students to do it. And we need to get these people back to school. Also, it's very important, like Larry said, that we keep that N.O. Nelson facility in Edwardsville. It's a gem and it should be an anchor.
Thank you. And the second question is, would you support funding for environmental initiatives and or diversity inclusion efforts?
Well, that's pretty, like Larry said, that's pretty yes and yes. We need to remain vested in environmental sustainability as a campus. As Larry says, we currently have a $2 green fee that supports Lewis and Clark. We also currently have a sustainability director, but he's named Nate Keener. He's been on for some time, and basically that's what his job is. I'm also, like I've told you, I'm involved in the Great Rivers Land Trust, which has thousands of acres in preserve. And so I think we need to support the environment very much. Diversity and inclusion is a big deal in hiring. And campus employees reflect our students' community. And exclusion is also important to have. We develop policy and student requirement processes and how we ultimately operate as a campus culture. We are a community college for all communities. Like I told you, I was also involved in the Growth Association, and they have an emerging leaders and inclusion leadership committee, which I serve on. We also have diversity workshops, which I have participated in. So I think it's very important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so you heard from Dwight Wirtz, a candidate for trustee for Lewis and Clark. The next candidate I would like to hear from is Jack Holmes. I'd like you to introduce yourself to the voters, including the top priorities you have for that position and how you plan to achieve them, and also the most important qualifications you feel will be necessary for that position and how you possess them. Oh, I can't hear you, Mr. Holmes. Unmute. Oh, I don't see the mute, but I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear him? No. You might need to turn your microphone to check that your microphone is on.
Let me switch instruments.
Perfect.
You gotta turn that on. That's gonna cross pollinate.
I'm gonna pull that over here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
All right, we just switched instruments.
there you go.
All right, well, thank you very much, League of Women Voters and NAACP for having this forum tonight. I am Jack Holmes. I live in Jerseyville with my wife, Judy. We've been married for 51 years. We have 6 children and 6 grandchildren. And I retired this past June after a 50-year career in education. I have a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Illinois in Champaign, where I played on the golf team and earned varsity letters. I have a Master of Science degree from the George Washington University in Washington, D.C., and an administrative degree with a superintendency endorsement from Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville. I am a Navy veteran, having served on active duty for 2 years during the Vietnam War and a total of 6 years in the Navy Reserve. I worked in the public schools of Illinois for 33 years, teaching, coaching, athletic director, dean of students, assistant principal, and principal at Illini Middle School in Jerseyville. I was the principal of St. John Newman Elementary Catholic School in Maryville, Illinois, for 11 years, and athletic director at Alton Marquette Catholic High School for 5 years. I officiated high school basketball for 35 years. I hope I didn't offend too many of you. I served on the Jerseyville Library Board for several years and was a member of Rotary for several years, where I became a Paul Harris Fellow. I'm also a past member of the Jersey County Business Association. My top priorities. I feel strongly that we must strive to get the best value for hard-earned tax dollars that we pay for schools. This includes not allowing our school districts to spend money recklessly, which in many cases puts a heavy burden of debt on future generations. I believe that Lewis and Clark Community College being in debt $120 million is not the best way to serve taxpayers and students. I look forward to joining forces with Jeff Ferguson, who also seeks a position on the Lewis and Clark Community College Board. Together, we would be honored to join current Lewis and Clark Community College board members David Hyen, Chuck Hanfelder, Kevin Rust, and Julie Johnson, members who have made significant strides toward fiscal responsibility and who are committed to maintaining a world-class educational institution. I pass out these cards to voters, and on it, it says, I hope to lower the crushing $120 million debt that has never been approved by taxpayers, to lower the tax rate never approved by taxpayers, and to lower the excessive administrative costs. What are my most important qualifications? In my 50 years in education, I've had an opportunity to sit in every chair at the table. I've been a student, parent, teacher, dean of students, assistant principal, principal, athletic director, football coach, and high school basketball official. And I'm a taxpayer. I'm able to look at issues from many viewpoints. And I promise to bring Lewis and Clark Community College back to a position of solid financial standing, to continue providing a great education for the students, and increase the enrollment which has declined by 1/3 under the failed leadership of the former board and the former president.
Thank you. Here's our first question is, what role should the board hold in relation to the administration of Lewis and Clark, especially regarding planning in response to declining enrollment?
The board should work as a partner with the administration and should always seek consensus as to what the best goals are for the school. One of the most important goals should be to provide degree programs that are relevant to the needs of our community and that prepare our students for gainful employment in these need areas, and or to prepare our students for continuing their education at the university level. I also believe one of the most important goals should be to address the declining enrollment. I was happy to hear Dr. Traska's board report Tuesday night regarding the current enrollment when he told us that the strategic plan includes an expectation for enrollment and retention improvement, and that he is happy with the progress so far.
Thank you. The next question is, would you support funding for environmental initiatives and/or diversity inclusion efforts?
Environment initiatives are extremely important, but must be addressed with some caution. For example, regarding coal-fired power plants in the world, the EU has 468 and is building 27 more. Turkey has 56 and building 93 more. South Africa has 79 and building 24 more. India has 589 and building 446 more. The Philippines has 19 and building 60 more. South Korea has 58 and building 26 more. Japan has 90 and building 45 more. And China has 2,363 and is building another 1,171. Our country has 15 and is building 0 more. So I think the US is already doing its part. The answer may lie in our helping other countries do what we are doing to help the environment. I also feel we need to step up our research on how the environment is being negatively impacted by some of the new energy sources, like electric cars and windmills. So yes, I'd support funding for environmental initiatives as long as the research looks at both the positive and the negative results of new energy sources. Now, since I will be a new member on the board, I'm not exactly sure about this question of diversity. In my 50 years in education, I had a front row seat to all kinds of diversity and was always happy to see it applied. Is there a problem at Lewis and Clark Community College with diversity? If so, I'm sure I'll be on board with seeking a solution. I like to think of myself as a solution-oriented person. And I thank you for this opportunity tonight to tell you about myself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was, you heard from Jack Holmes, and the next candidate is Jeffrey Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson, I would like you to introduce yourself, including your top priorities for the job and the most important qualifications as you see it for the job and how you possess them. I can't hear you. I think you might be muted. I can't hear you. There's a mute on one on your phone. There's a mute on the one that's your phone. No. I can't hear you, Mr. Ferguson.
What about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
There we go. Okay. But now let me get rid of the.
One of your, yeah.
Okay. Well, you would probably never guess that I work in information technology. Okay, sorry about that. First, thank you for the opportunity. Thanks to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for hosting this event, giving the candidates an opportunity to address the public and your respective memberships. So my name is Jeff Ferguson. I'm a lifelong resident of the Riverbend area, graduated in 1983 from Wood River High School. I'm married for 31 years to my wife, Jana. We reside in Jersey County. We have 2 adult children, Trevor and Lauren. I graduated in 1988 from Lewis and Clark with an AAS in electronics, and at that time went to work for McDonnell Douglas and what ended up being Boeing. 12 and a half years working in flight simulation, basically providing video support to foreign and domestic customers, research and development for fighter jet systems. After there, I went to work for Southwestern Bell, SBC, which became AT&T. Spent 8.5 years working as a network center tech supporting DSL customers in a 23-state footprint, and then 1 year as a manager. Since that time, I moved to Scott Air Force Base as a contractor. Currently there for a little over 12 years now. First as a 24/7 on-call operations engineer for a legacy global backbone network, and then promoted into the current position where I manage 2 teams of network analysts, one at Scott Air Force Base and one at Hill Air Force Base in Utah, providing 24/7 by 365 communication support to global war fighters engaged in the war on terror. Currently possess a Department of Defense top secret SCI security clearance, served 4 years on the Jersey County board, and as if 2020 wasn't enough with COVID, I am now a cancer survivor as of 2020. So my qualifications, I believe my professional experience, my life experiences, the experience I gained on the county board, the ability to operate within a fixed budget as is required in my current position, without having that endless pool of money at the taxpayer's expense, and the desire to fix the financial mess that currently exists to ensure our beautiful campus remains viable for future generations. I think those are great qualifications for this position. My top 3 priorities: number 1, reduce the crushing debt, increase enrollment, and reduce the administrative costs. Reducing the crushing debt, I believe currently spending nearly twice as much for bond and interest payments as we are for education is not the right approach for a community college. That all stems from the $120 million debt that previous board members and administrators have put on the backs of the taxpayers. I believe we need to focus on retiring the bonds without continually financing to avoid the unnecessary commissions, eliminate duplication of efforts that may exist between departments. In order to increase enrollment, I believe we need to develop a robust job placement program, create diverse attendance options, and create or enhance IT certification programs, reduce costs per credit hour.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry.
I have 2 questions for you. What role should the board hold in relation to the administration of Lewis and Clark, especially regarding planning in response to declining enrollment?
Okay, I'm still having trouble with my audio here, but I believe you asked the first question that we were provided. So, okay, great, thank you. I'll go by your visual cues. Thank you for that. I believe the Board of Trustees should function as a partnership with the administration. As elected officials, the board has a fundamental obligation to their constituents to ensure a high-quality educational facility while maintaining fiscal responsibility on behalf of the taxpayers. The board has an oversight duty and should develop policies and programs relevant to the needs of the community. They should also be proactive in the local economy by forging relationships with local employers to develop curricula that meet the needs of those employers. By working with the administration and the community at large, the college can demonstrate a cohesive effort to build and maintain a first-class college with degree programs that prepare our students for gainful employment or continuing education at the university level. The focus should always be on the students first, because the students are the reason the school exists. Every other aspect of the college should build around that basic foundation. Despite recent lies from one of my opponents currently on the board stating that Jack Holmes and I have an agenda to close certain campus properties, nothing could be further from the truth. Perhaps the irresponsible spending of the previous board may be giving somebody a guilty conscience. I don't know, but that is not true.
Thank you. The second question, if you can hear me, is would you support funding for environmental and or diversity inclusion efforts?
Okay, and again, still I can't hear you without the feedback. So the environmental and diversity question, the environmental initiatives, and let me just start by saying I have geothermal in my house. I'm a big supporter of environmental initiatives, but I believe we have to approach these with cautious but optimistic viewpoint. We've witnessed a huge rush to electric vehicles, wind and solar power with little consideration for long-term implications. And as we're seeing from some of the mining technologies and some of the byproducts of these technologies, ultimately they could end up being toxic to the environment. So while we have to support these initiatives, we also have to ensure that the return on investment doesn't come with unintended consequences. As far as diversity, I work at a military installation. Diversity and inclusion is a way of life. We have people from all walks of life, from all over the country, from every economic background, and age groups from late teens to retirement age. As we are all there for a common goal, our focus is always on the mission support we are there to provide. If an issue arises, our management team engages immediately to address the issue so it doesn't escalate. Trying to apply a wholesale solution to a problem will almost certainly alienate another group of people, so actions taken must be commensurate with the problem. As a member of this environment, we are required to complete annual training at the federal and corporate level. So I believe my knowledge in this area would be beneficial to the Board of Trustees position. And I would offer that anybody that wants to learn any more about me, I know 3 minutes or 2 minutes to answer these questions is woefully inadequate. So I would offer anybody the opportunity to contact me, and I'll spend as much time with you as you want. I want you to know that when you vote for me and Jack Holmes, that you are in fact voting for the right candidates for this position. Thank you.
Thank you. So voters, you have heard from Larry Trent, Dwight Wirtz, Jack Holmes, and Jeffrey Ferguson, candidates for the trustee. And you are to choose to vote for on your ballot. The last part of the program is for candidates, a write-in candidate for the Regional Board of Education. Nick Raftopoulos, I'd like you to introduce yourself to the voters, again, including your top priorities for your position and the most important qualifications for the position from your point of view and how you possess them.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for hosting tonight and for their invitation to speak. I'm running for the Madison County Regional Board of Trustees as a write-in candidate. My race is located at the end of the ballot, and when you vote, do the best you can at spelling my last name. As long as there is intent it should be counted. First, I want to talk a little bit about myself and why I decided to get in this race, especially as a write-in candidate. First off, I am born and raised in Granite City. I attended the public schools there and then attended Southwestern Illinois College to get my associate's degree before I transferred to SIUE, where I earned my bachelor's degree in political science and history. I currently work at the Madison County Circuit Clerk's Office in Edwardsville and have been there since 2018. In my free time, I like to help the community in various nonprofits and organizations. I currently serve as president of the Metro East Rotary Club and serve on the board of directors at Rebuilding Together, which is an organization that helps low-income, elderly, disabled, and veteran homeowners with home repairs. When I saw that no one decided to file, I knew I needed to run. To me, I believe every elected office is important, and we should have people in those offices that care about the citizens of Madison County. I decided to run because I believe that the Regional Board of Trustees is an extremely important office and is often overlooked. I have several goals if I have the privilege of being elected. I want to make sure teachers have the support and resources they need to be successful. And second, I want to make sure every student, regardless of where they live, has access to a quality education. The Regional Board of Education website has many tools to help teachers with curriculum. It can help them expand their knowledge and to find other ways to teach their students. With these tools, I think they will help make teachers in Madison County more successful. For students, the website has free summer meal information, lunch and breakfast programs, and details about the different schools in the area. The most important qualifications to be on the Regional Trustee Board, in my opinion, is having the knowledge of the issues affecting Madison County schools, having experience on an education board, and having a passion to improve the lives of students, teachers, and the community. I served on the Board of Trustees at Southwestern Illinois College for the last 2 years. I am also currently serving on the Planning and Policy Committee there as well. I believe my experience and the things I've learned the past 2 years would be beneficial to the Madison County Regional Board of Trustees. I also understand what students need because I was a student in Madison County not too long ago. My sister, grandma, and mom all taught or currently teach in Madison County. So I have an understanding of the needs of teachers as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I have only one question for you, and that is really asking what is the role in our educational system for the Regional Board of Education, and what do you hope to be able to accomplish in this position?
Thank you. So the primary function of the Regional Board of Education is to uphold and implement the policies handed down by the Illinois Board of Education. They also help with state licenses for teaching, and they also have online tools to help teachers with their classroom curriculum. If elected, I want to be a good representative for the citizens of Madison County. I want to make sure that school districts have the tools they need to succeed, especially during COVID. We need to make sure each school district has proper health guidelines to ensure a healthy and safe environment for both the teachers and the students. I would appreciate your vote April 6th. And if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email is nraftopoulos6@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Nick Raftopoulos is a write-in candidate for the Regional Board of Education. Trustee of the Regional Board of Education. Is that correct, Nick? Thank you.
That's correct.
Thank you, candidates. I appreciate all your, especially those who've stayed and politely listened to everybody. I hope we've all learned a lot. I know that I have. I'd like to reiterate that we heard from the Edwardsville Community Unit 7 board members, Jennifer Brumback, Tiffany Paschall, Terry Dallariva, and John McDole of a group of 6 for whom you vote for 3. And for the school board, we heard from Kristen Pfund and Leland Olsen, for whom you vote 1 of the 2. We heard from the trustees of the Lewis and Clark Community College, Larry Trent, White Wolf, Jack Holmes, and Jeff Ferguson, for whom you vote for 2. And we heard from the write-in candidate, one of 2 write-in candidates, Nick Raftopoulos, for the Regional Board of Education. At this point, I'm going to repeat just a few of the things I said in the beginning, just to make sure that anybody who joined us later understands that since we only ask relatively few questions tonight, there are other sources of information regarding the position of at least some of the candidates we heard from today. Some candidates have offered their contact information, but also you can go to the Illinois Voter Guide, which includes candidate question and answers where the candidates have supplied those, and I urge all candidates to do so. That link is posted on our website, League of Women Voters of Edwardsville area, and also you can get to the voter guide from illinoisvoterguide.org. Also, ouredwardsville.com, OUR-Edwardsville.com, Edwardsville candidates and positions contains the positions of Edwardsville candidates, especially regarding the Minnie and Edwards statue and racial equity issues. The Edwardsville Intelligencer is also planning to print candidate information. Candidates, I urge you, please answer any questions asked, make your positions clear. And I want to thank you very, very much for participating in our event tonight. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.